Hello, and welcome to the Introverted Manager. My name is Maxim. For those of you new here, I've embarked on a journey to become an iOS developer, starting from scratch with no prior development experience. I give myself 1 year and budget of 20k. 1 year to develop an application, release it to the App Store, and hopefully make a living out of it. Will I succeed? Will I fail? Subscribe and join me on this adventure to find out. And now to today's video. Welcome to the series of weekly review videos where I will be discussing the progress I'm making in learning Swift, budget reviews, and progress I'm making on my own app. As the title says, those videos will be weekly to keep myself accountable. Topics and time codes will be somewhere on screen, allowing you to skip to the part that you're interested in, although I hope you won't. But before I dive in discussing the concepts I learned so far, I wanted to stop here for a second and discuss how I'm planning to learn. Before starting, I went to iOS development community on Reddit and asked people who are further in learning Swift what helped them. Almost unilaterally, everyone said that I should do 100 days of SwiftUI, course developed by Paul Hudson. And so I did. The core idea of the course that you should spend 1 hour per day learning something new. Since I'm currently unemployed and fully committed to this, despite starting just over a week ago, I'm already in day 23. First 15 days focus on foundations of Swift, or honestly almost any other programming language that I know of. In the next segment, I will try to summarize everything I learned so far in a few minutes or so. Let's go. Let's start with data types. Swift has multiple of those. Constants aren't supposed to be changed, variables do. Doubles are used to store decimal number, integers to store whole numbers. An important note, doubles aren't supposed to be used for monetary operations due to floating point errors. Strings are for storing text, booleans are for storing true or false, zeros and ones values. Next one is more complex data structures. Arrays can store a series of other simpler data types, but importantly, all of them should be of the same type. So if you start with numbers, you should only store numbers. Sets are quite similar, but store only unique values. Dictionaries store key value pairs, for example, name, max. Contrary to arrays and dictionaries, tuples can store different types of data inside, for example, name and age pairs. Enums are custom-defined data types. Honestly, I don't think I fully understand it just yet. Next, let's proceed to operators. Arithmetic ones are easy: plus, minus, multiplication, division, and such. Comparison, more or less, equals, etc. Compound operators take some time getting used to, but basically is just a short syntax for arithmetic ones. Conditional operators can and use all of the above to execute some code based on defined condition. If my name is Max, then execute some other code. And overloading operators are beyond my understanding so far, and I will need to go back to this topic later on. Now to the loops. There are two types of loops, for and while. For executes over a specific range, while until condition is met, and therefore could be infinitely. Let's proceed to constructs. Functions are code blocks that have defined inputs, processed somehow, and output. Protocols are blueprints for other methods, or the set of rules those methods should adhere to. Structs are custom data structures. For example, user structure has name, age, date of birth, and other values. Classes are complex data structures that support inheritance. Extensions extend existing functionality, whether provided by Swift or other functions. Closures are a wild beast for me right now, another topic for revision. And let's proceed to the random bunch of concepts. String interpolation allows to embed variables into strings. Type annotations is the manual specification of the variable or constant type, rather than based on the stored value. Optionals are used to tell Swift that variable might not have value at all, and therefore write handlers for that. Unwrapping optionals is about that. But there are multiple ways to do it, and I don't feel I fully understand all of them just yet. Property observers allow to monitor changes in values and execute code when it happens. Getters and setters are somehow similar. Again, it's one of those concepts where I don't feel I fully grasped it yet. Error handling allows to specify custom errors, check for them, and throw error when it happens instead of crashing the app. And that's all I learned in the first 15 days of SwiftUI. Besides that, I would like to review 2 little apps that I wrote as part of the course. Okay, let's talk about the first app, an app for unit conversion. I chose the time conversion. Please be mindful, it's the first working Swift code I ever wrote, so it's far from ideal, but it's working. In the beginning, I defined all of the state variables that app will be working with. So we have input number, we have our units, seconds, minutes, hours, days. We have our input unit and default is seconds, and the output unit is minutes. And fortunately enough, SwiftUI handles defaults automatically and displays those in the UI without any additional work. The first thing that I do is transform input value to seconds. That's what happens in the first part of the code. And I understand it looks quite crude, but gets the job done. Then the second variable gets converted into target unit. Similar approach. UI has navigation stack defined, so it has 2 sections with speaker and text field in each. Simple and straightforward. I had to iron out a few bugs because initially order of calculations was wrong, but I got there pretty fast, and it currently works fully as expected. Let's see. The second app was more challenging, incorporating almost everything Paul taught in his course up until that point, but quite fun. Let's see the app. The idea is to develop a flag guessing game, and in the course Paul shows how to do 90% of the app, but challenges people to finish the last 10%. Add attempt score, reset the game once attempts are exhausted, show the final score, and if person guesses wrong, show them the right answer. I will not be going through the whole code, but focus on few parts that were the troublemakers. Implementing showing the right flag name in case of wrong answer was quite straightforward. I used string interpolation to call country name from the array. But making app count the attempts and then reset took way longer, and few fails before I found the right way. First of all, I've added attempts variable, which I increment when user answers. Doesn't matter whether answer is correct or not, it's incremented anyway. At first I thought I could use while loop to iterate flag tap function until conditions is complete. But turned out while loop executes without waiting for user input, and therefore game would reset after each attempt. I guess that's how you learn coding. You try, you fail, you find the other way. What I ended up doing is separating reset into its own function that I call on final score pop-up once user presses restart the game. It took some searching to realize I can call an action on button press. And another thing to highlight, I had to move if-then logic for max attempts to alert itself to count correctly. I didn't know it's possible and it took a while. Let's see how the app works. So you get this nice screen. It asks you to tap the correct flag. In our case, it's Germany. Let's try to tap the wrong flag. It displays the pop-up and it actually shows you that you tapped US flag rather than the Germany one. And also displays the score, which is -1 right now. Let's just randomly press and see how the app resets itself. And now is the final attempt. Let's do it. So first it displays the pop-up that the tap was wrong, and then it displays another one with the final score, which is in our case -4, and allows you to restart the game and correctly resets the score and attempts. That's all the code I wrote so far. If you see something that I can improve, feel free to post it in the comments. And now let's proceed to the budget review. Me wouldn't be me, but I made burnout chart to track it, and I made it in my favorite Power BI. For now, it's quite basic and just shows budget burned versus baseline burn. The gray line is baseline, the blue line is burned budget. Let's zoom in. And as you can see, at the moment I'm not doing well, spending budget ahead of baseline. I had to incur some front-heavy costs related to running the channel and buy some hardware. Therefore, hopefully my burn will slow down from now on. And the last section of today's video is to discuss the progress I made on my own app. It's not much, I didn't write any code yet. What I did so far is define target audience, define feature set and MVP scope, and did some high-level decomposition. I will be discussing all of those details in a separate video later on, so stay tuned. That's all for today. Subscribe and see you next week.